the drive outside. Wake up, we're rich and win the day. Don't spend your morning playing catch up. WRVA and the city's alive. 7 a.m. It's go time, Richmond.
All right, 7:03 here on Richmond's Morning News. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got a lot to talk about this morning here on the program. And again, remember, either you wake up with Richmond's Morning News and you really learn what's going on, or you play catch up the rest of the day. You can always comment on the program. We read the best text messages at 6:55, 7:55, 8:55, and then I'm just going to run down the hallway with scissors and open up the phone lines for you on the 9 o'clock hour. Okay. Want to bring something up. It's something that we covered quite a bit. A lot of other people have as well. Richmonder.org and the RTD both have put the spotlight on the P cards. What are the P cards? Those are the purchasing cards that you had some like millions of dollars that couldn't be accounted for in just widespread waste, fraud, and abuse in Richmond City Hall. Okay, it's everybody's favorite topic to talk about here in Richmond. Oh, look how corrupt City Hall is. Look how much waste and fraud there is. Danny Avula rode that wave into the mayor's office, and one of the first things he did was, we're going to shut down this P card program. Now, I've had a couple of people ask me this morning, what about that guy that bought all this firefighting equipment? Don't know yet. City generally won't talk about that because it's an employee, so there's rules over there. I will tell you that there was some request by the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Samuel Parker, had asked for some FOIA information about some of the expenses, got one back. The rest they haven't heard from. And when he asked about that yesterday, Odie McDonald stepped in and goes, those are so old, I don't know about those. So there is still some transparency issues that I think people would like to see rectified when it comes to city records, because I think it's up to all of us to keep City Hall accountable. And there is such a culture of waste, fraud, and abuse within Richmond City Hall. I don't think it's out of the question to ask those tough questions of our city leaders. But here's what's going on. I just wanted to update you on this. And again, you want to comment, 833-804-1140. So they're bringing back the P cards. There were hundreds of them before. Now there's 73 P cards right now in circulation. So what do you use these for? So if you're in the city government and you need to do something like, hey, I just need to run over and get something from Target that's generally easy to find. Do I have time to run out and go through the whole purchase process, PO, get approval, all of that? I need this stuff right now. In your business, that's what they use petty cash for. It's the version of that you use for the city. But there's so many cards out there, people are using it for so many different things. It got abused. So they pulled them all back. And now there's only 73 of these cards in circulation. They're going to try this again. Now, I'm going to give Danny Avula all the credit in the world because he understands. I've spoken to him about this. He understands there is a change of culture that they have to achieve within Richmond city government. And it's been long before Danny Avula ever thought about running for mayor. It's been long standing that people have been taking advantage of the system that work for the city of Richmond. I think if you live in the city of Richmond, you're kind of like, maybe you cringe a little bit if you've moved out of Richmond. And I talk to so many people like, I'm just tired of paying my tax dollars in Richmond. That's why I moved to Henrico. That's why I live in Chesterfield. That's why I moved out of the city, because it continues to go on and on and on. And that's one of the things that Danny Avula ran on, is we're going to change the waste, fraud, and abuse and the lack of attention to detail that you have in Richmond City Hall. But it's an uphill fight because you have so many people that have done it for so long. It's ingrained in the culture. It's your office. You have a culture. You have one that's either nourishing. You have one where people fight. You have one where people take accountability, or you have one where people point fingers. You have one where people stab each other in the back. Everybody's got a culture, whether it's healthy or not. And the one inside Richmond City Hall, I don't know, is very healthy. And you have a lot of people that will cover for each other. You have a lot of people that allowed this stuff to go on. So now Danny Avula has pulled back that P card system, but he's got to have something where you can make some of these purchases. If you need to get an airline ticket, you need to travel someone real quick, you need to do that right away. If there's a lunch that you're hosting and you need to have people in, you need to do that right away. But that's where people started abusing all of this. So here's how the structure has been re-implemented temporarily They eliminate spending over platforms, which can be difficult to exact a purpose for the transitions. And again, I'm reading from Samuel Parker's article in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. No more can you use your P card, your city credit card for Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App or Amazon. Seems pretty reasonable. Why in the world would you be using a city credit card on Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App? Makes no sense to me. I can understand getting something for work from Amazon. I do that all the time. But the rest of these, absolutely. Purchases for food and travel were also disallowed. It's not clear whether that's permanent or they'll put that back into the program. But a lot of it was people abusing that as well. The other thing was you had people that were approving the chain of command of people, how people were approving it was you have supervisors submitting their approvals to people that worked underneath them. And what are you going to do? Tell your boss, I'm not going to allow this. I'm not going to allow that. That didn't work out very well as either. So the whole thing was just fraught. In fact, there was one person, Keith Ballmer, and this is again from the article. He blamed his questionable spending on a lack of adequate training. That's the biggest tell for me of what the culture inside Richmond City Hall was. That if you tell me you can't tell the difference between proper payment and improper payment, if you can't tell me the difference between common sense, am I allowed to use my P card to go to the store and buy X or Y, and you don't know the difference and you're going to blame that on questionable training or a lack of adequate training? That tells me how corrupt, wrong, how much waste, fraud, and abuse you had inside that system, because you even would bring something like that up because it was just acceptable. Well, hey, listen, hey, Vaughn, what are you doing today? You want to have lunch? Great. Let's use my P card from the city to pay for our lunch. No, that's not a proper business expense. Hey, Vaughn, you want to go over to Virginia Beach? Hey, let's just put gas in. We'll use my city fuel card to fill up my tank.
I'll go to Virginia Beach.
Well, it'd be easier if we drove instead of riding the skateboards, the way you always want to ride your skateboard everywhere. But that's what you had throughout Richmond City Hall. Now, we'll see if they can get this right. Now, they have brought in an outside financial consulting firm, and that's also another tell for me that you actually have to have a company come in to retrain everyone and be a watchdog for Richmond City Hall to see whether people can be trusted with the P card. I've had a company credit card before. Vaughn, have you ever had a company credit card?
I've possessed one.
Okay. Do you hold on to that like it's gold?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to submit reports anytime I use it. Receipts have to come back. It's mandatory. No questions asked.
I've had a company credit card. I didn't want it.
Yeah, I didn't want it either.
That's a lot of pressure to put on me. It seemed like people at Richmond City Hall, I'll take one of those.
I got a bonus.
Dude, it's like an 18-year-old when they get their credit card, their first credit card in college. Woohoo, come on, we're going out. Drinks on me. Hey, come on, I got a P card. Let's all go to Chili's and have lunch. It's on me. Woohoo. But for me, I never wanted the P card. That's too much pressure. And man, when I had to fill out my expense reports, I was stressed out. Why? Because I knew the difference between what I could spend and what I can't spend. I knew that there were things that, you know what, I'm going to go to, a perfect example. All right. If I had to go on a business trip, I would look for the cheapest flight I could. I'd feel guilty if I didn't use a cheap flight. If I went to dinner and it's a legitimate business dinner, but it's a little pricey, I would eat the difference. I wouldn't put it all on my company credit card because that's not a credit card for me to use for my own joy and fun and entertainment the way my personal credit card is, because somebody's got to pay it eventually, and it's a taxpayer's. So it comes back down to one thing. Does the city of Richmond respect the taxpayers? Do the people that work in City Hall respect the taxpayers? That if you've got that P card, that you know it's a sacred trust, and it's not just a credit card that you're using, but it's the people's money that pay taxes to the city of Richmond. And that's something that had been missing out of the original P card program. We'll see whether, again, the lack of training that somebody claimed, which is a joke, because it's either you understand or you don't. And if you don't understand, You don't deserve to have a P card. You shouldn't have a P card, and you probably ought not work at the city. Changing of this culture is going to be tough. Changing of the culture is going to be tough, and something that Danny Avula promised that he's trying his very best. Now, will the people within City Hall that have abused those P cards and have that attitude come along with him? We'll have to see. At one point, Odie Donald, and again, I'm quoting from Samuel B. Parker, officials will use what Donald called a stick and carrot method, treating accidental noncompliance as a teaching moment and taking more serious steps to correct intentional noncompliance up to leading termination of the employment. Huh? You're just putting that right in. You're just putting that in right now? Shouldn't that have been something since the very beginning of the first time somebody gets a P card? You're having to teach that in 2026? How long has this P card program been around? That's where we get to whether there's a culture that needs to be fixed. That's like telling me at the age of 50, Vaughn, that I'm trying to think of a great analogy. It's like teaching me, okay, that's, you know what that is? It's like teaching me at the age of 50 how to tie my shoes. I should have learned that when I was 3. Telling you that we're going to use a carrot and stick right now, that should have been day one. Avula and McDonald Donald shouldn't have had to do this. This should have been day one. And the fact that it's like that right now in Richmond is why people move out of the city and lose faith in what we have. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 833-804-1140. Danny, go. Go, Danny, go. Make this happen. It's one of the campaign promises you made that we're going to have more accountability and less waste, fraud, and abuse of the taxpayer money. I hope they get this right. And we'll keep following up to see what happened to those people that abuse their P cards and see if we can get more information on that. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up. Your thoughts, 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. 833-804-1140 is the James River text line. That's also the number for you to call in a little bit later in the program.